आपके पास चलते हैं। स्वागत है आपका।
हरि ओम, नमस्कार। हमारे यहाँ सभी जगह एक मुहावरा है या देर इज इडियम सेइंग, घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर। तो इसका मतलब सभी जानते हैं। एंड व्हाई एम आई स्टार्टिंग माय टॉक टुडे विद दैट, बिकॉज इन एवरी हर भाषा में ये है, इसका समानार्थ वाचक हर हमारे तेलुगु में भी है और मराठी में भी होगा। तो घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर का मतलब ये एक हम महसूस करते हैं दैनंदिन हमारे जीवन में, हर जगह हर संबंध में हम लोग फील करते हैं। आई एम श्योर ऑल ऑफ अस डू दैट, समटाइम्स कॉन्शियसली, sometimes most of the time unconsciously, we indulge in this particular pattern of behavior, of which is basically in English, familiarity breeds contempt. That's what they say, and then we tend to take things for granted. Those things which are very close to us, close in the sense like Swamiji has given the definition of dear, प्रिय जो होता है। तो देर आर सेवरल मीनिंग्स फॉर दैट प्रिया। सो दिस इज डियर, नियर एंड डियर इन दैट सेंस, डियर। So those things which are very close to us, we tend to ignore or make an oversight of things. जैसे कि most often the most taken for granted relation, कोई बता सकते हैं? अगर मैं पूछूं तो, ऑफ कोर्स दिस इज नॉट ए क्विज फॉर यू, बट अगर कोई भी वीक्षक स्पेक्टेटर को, या इन ए क्लासरूम व्हेन वी आस्क स्टूडेंट्स, आई एम श्योर सम पीपल में स्ट्रगल एंड देन मेनी में गिव एन आंसर दैट शर्मा जी बता सकते हैं ऐसे वैसे। मैंने द मोस्ट टेकन फॉर ग्रांटेड पर्सन और रिलेशन वी हैव, okay, मैं ही बताता हूँ। मदर, isn't it? Very often, we take it for granted, because so much a mother does to us, to every human being. Mother is such a fantastic relation, but very often, 99% of the time, 99% of the people tend to take mother's relation as for granted. Next question is, which is the second most taken for granted relationship? I am sure all of us would agree, and then this is even the spectators would agree. For men it is wife, and for women it may be husband. घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर। तो क्यों न हो, he may be a dean or a principal or a vice chancellor of a university or an IAS officer or a minister or even a CEO or an MD, for him also, for a wife, घर की मुर्गी दाल बा, अच्छा ठीक है, like that there is a, we tend to take it for granted. So these are the two relations which I thought I would highlight, so that, because always it is my endeavor to practically relate to whatever, we are deliberating here. From my point of view, from my perspective. In that sense, my focus has always been on that. So here also, if you look at it, Arjuna seems to be making a confession and then regretting with a humble submission that, at many a time I may have, because Arjuna and Krishna are related, and, साला जैसा relation है. But generally, many people may not know how they are related. They are actually distant cousins. They are not directly related. They are distant cousins. Because there are several, Yaduvamsha, Vrishni, Bhoja. So these are all the descendants of the Yayati. And Bhoja ka, Kunti Bhoja ka daughter is the Kunti Bhoja, Kunti Bhoja. सिमिलरली यदुवंश का, ये लोग यादव जो लोग आते हैं, एंड देन यादवों में से देर इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कैरेक्टर कॉल्ड वृष्णि, ही वॉज अ राजा। सो इसीलिए कृष्ण को वार्ष्णेय करके बोलते हैं। So it is also there are several. So in that sense, it is a distant cousin, and she is a maternal aunt for Krishna, Kunti, and Kunti is Kaunteya is Sala. That is one thing. And later on, the relation has become a little more closer because of Arjuna during a penance for a year. He goes around and then, he falls in love with Subhadra, who is the sister of Krishna. And that's how he's become a little more closer and a direct brother-in-law. With that kind of, though in the Bhagavata Puran there isn't much discussion or any reference to Arjuna being a childhood jigri dost kind of a thing, and they've never grown up together, playing together, and things like that. In the middle, they have become friends. But still, ever since they have met, there is more of a friendship and a relation, and Sambandhi, and also Sala. So in that sense, he is confessing here in that shlokas, saying that, boss, by jnatva ya ajnatva, either by consciously or unconsciously, without knowing, even the previous relations also, because of our own three, four things, which are the reason why we like somebody or we focus something, we give more importance to some relation at some point of time, and at different points of time, that importance of the relationships also keeps changing. If we observe the behavioral pattern of others, more importantly, it is easier, and it is very difficult to observe our own selves and then the changes and the evolution of the maturity that take place within ourselves. Here, having spent around 10 chapters and then having listened to the Bhagavan himself, I'm sure there is enlightenment, because the whole thing is about the seeking enlightenment. And some enlightenment has happened, and with that, some humility is also occurred. With that, he is making a confession. And for us also, if we go through that kind of Shravana, Manana, or Patana, and Manana is, of course, chanting and then repeating and then contemplating and meditating. So these are the words which comes to our mind. Constantly, if we do the name of the God, or the story of the God, and the glory of the God, and the power of the God, and the omnipotentiality of the Almighty, whichever God you choose. Those people, there are the five things. Why it happens? It is ajnaan ke karan, ahankar ke karan, asuya ke karan, dvesha, and then swartha, that is the selfishness. These are the five reasons people tend to give importance or non-importance to a particular relation at a particular point of time, or it keeps changing. Here also, but जो obedient होता है, जो sincere होता है, devout होता है, that person tends to realize and then become humble at some point of time and then give complete surrender. And here Arjuna is precisely seems to be doing that. And by doing so, he is giving us a lesson to the mankind, that how to approach, and then how do we realize, and then how do we pray. So we may think that, God is there only in the temple, or God is there only in the form of a rock or a photo, or, a putla, जो भी है. बट गॉड इज एवरीवेयर, एंड इट इज प्रहलाद की दृष्टांत से हमें सिद्ध होता है कि बिकॉज व्हेन हिरण्यकशिपु आस्क्स, ओके यहाँ है क्या, यहाँ गया क्या, यहाँ है क्या, ऐसा बोले तो कहाँ नहीं है, कहीं भी है, तो दिखाता भी है और आता भी है, स्तंभ से वो छेद करके बाहर नृसिंह अवतार प्रकट हो जाते हैं. उससे सिद्ध होता है कि गॉड इज एवरीवेयर. दैट्स वाई we don't have to turn to only east side or a north side or a northeast side, or anything. कहाँ नहीं है भगवान, बिकॉज कहीं यहाँ कहाँ ढूंढो, जहाँ ढूंढो वहां मिलेगा, जैसा ढूंढो वैसा मिलेगा, वैसे रूप में. दैट इज द ब्यूटी ऑफ our Sanatan Dharma, unlike a god or a god's son or a prophet, or which is still it is not clear, because I was just going through last week, a couple of videos from abroad, scientists, and about the existence and then the genuinity of the stories which are wound about the Old Testament, New Testament, and then okay, the other religion also, Abrahamic religions. But the beauty of ours is that it is a form in everywhere. That's what we talked about on the 39th shloka, Vayu, Agni. Though they are not in the heaven, but they are everywhere. Panchabhuta jo bhi hai, Agni, Vayu, Prithvi, Apas, Tejo, Vayu, Akasha, these are all the forms of the different energies, and then which every energy we worship as a god. Every farm, every animal, every जीवराशि जो दृश्यमान जगत है, सब सभी में हम लोग भगवान देखते हैं. उतना बड़प्पन हमारे सनातन धर्म में है. So that's what is once again reinforced, and that's why. And another very popular prayer everywhere, mostly in North India, I have seen, and then I have experienced it, is Tvameva Mata Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhu Sakha Tvameva. So that is a prayer which everybody says that, and that also gets reinforced here when Arjuna says that. He is not only saying that you are the father, you are a guru, and then Guru Nam Guru, like that he is saying. Guru Gadiyaha he is saying, and that's what is the Jagat Guru. That's what is Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru, we say. In my case, my own father has been my guru. Through him, I have taken the initiation. So I can understand, and I remind myself. And why we tend to ignore the contributions of either our relation. When we tend to ignore the contribution of mother and then the wife, are the closest friends and all, and imagine, the unseen God, how we have to relate. That's why we tend to ignore the God also, because the God never appears, and then, it is by chance, and it is a matter of faith. So that's why probably I think people seem to be hankering and then going after different, and are constantly searching, and then because of their own weakness or the greed, they choose lesser gods who give them the instant gratification, whether this Baba or that Baba, this form of the, or that form, based on their quick resolution or quick redressal of their innumerable troubles. So that is the instant gratification for which, for हर कामना के लिए एक गॉड को या एक भगवान की रूप मनुष्य को ढूंढो. And of course there are several political and then caste and creed and other related considerations to choose and follow one particular idol of a man or a woman or a trust or a association. But basically, why do we? That is the reason, because of the ajnan, and then swartha and asuya, and then dvesha also is happening. Whether these maitis and then cookies are fighting in Manipur, also is because of, if you look at it, the behind the current affair that's happening is also because of these weaknesses of the people related to, the religion and things like that. So we need to understand. That's why the निज रूप जानने के लिए विश्व रूप जानना जरूरी है. That's what he is reinforcing here. And very often, when do we? Okay, we have understood now why people ignore because of instant gratification. When do they remember? Like I said in the previous episodes, that संकट होता है तो वेंकट बोलते हैं करके बताया मैंने. Like संकट जब भी आता है वेंकट बोलते हैं. वेंकट is बालाजी, which is a biggest god, highest grosser in the country, next only to Vatican. So the most powerful god, Kalau Venkatanayakasya, they say that also. So Sankat, when we get, we say Venkat. So that's what, only when we have troubles and then we have pain, we think of the god. So instead of that, on several chapters, throughout the several chapters, Bhagavan has given how we need to be Nitya Yukta, and then, completely focused and then devoted, and शरणागति जो करता है उन्हीं को भगवान का दर्शन हो सकता है, या इधर प्रत्यक्ष रूप से या अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से या व्यक्त रूप से या अव्यक्त रूप से, because we have also discussed about how it is predestined. And as I said in the previous show, like Jhasab also is saying, most of the annotations references have been brought from Svatashvatara Upanishad. Like I said, Esha Devo Vishwakarma Mahatma Anantaschatmo Vishwarupah Sada Jananam Hrudaye Sannivishtaha. So these are these annotations and other annotations at every different point of time, because after all, Bhagavad Gita is the Upanishad ka Saramsha hai. तो हर जगह हर थ्रू आउट द वांग्मय it is given the Mahanta and then the Sarvavyapakata, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, is also said, has been reinforced. So there is no reason why people should not, and the only reason is because of the ignorance. Those people who are ignorant will become arrogant. So that's what I say. That is why it is extremely important for us to understand. And the next sloka he said, Prasida Devesha Jagannivasa, because he is the entire, he is occupied in the entire Jagat is nothing but his own form. So that Jiva, Jagat, and then Paramatma, Deva, or Jivatma, Paramatma ka bhed, first to bhed स्वरूप जानना और उसके बाद परमात्मा का विश्वात्मा का स्वरूप जानना, विश्व रूप जानना, यही प्रयास है. दिस इज द परम पुरुषार्थ for which we have been given a beautiful opportunity of this life, and let us all utilize that in the contemplation, in the study, in the practice and sadhana of such a great practical manual, Bhagavad Gita. And we are coming closer to these 11 verses which we talked about, 36 to 46, which are often considered as mantras than shlokas, and people do parayan of these 11 shlokas and as mantras in order to ward off whatever bad ill effects that they believe that they are facing, and for the mercy of the God. And God, by praying the God, our belief system is that the propitiating paroksha priya vaivahi deva, that is what Shruti is saying. So people will get priya, they get pleased. So that is another meaning of being priya. So so that is a great opportunity that we have, and let us utilize that for now. Thank you.
Right. बीच में कनेक्शन. अच्छा, धर्मा साहब कुछ कहना चाह रहे थे, कह लीजिए एक बार.
Yeah, so छोटा सा. If such is the division and such is the difference and such is the disagreement with each other and one another, then what is that which bonds? Because we have discussed the problem. So let us just touch upon the solution also as it comes to my mind. Same question came to what is the relation between Krishna and then Arjuna, और इन दोनों का ये करीबपन का क्या वजह है. बोले तो कारण क्या है, बोले तो इसी में आंसर दिया गया है. वो दोनों धर्म से पक्ष में जुड़े हुए हैं. धर्म इज the righteousness is the bonding between Krishna and then Arjuna and Pandavas. Pandavas have always stood for the dharma, and Krishna, yato Krishna tato yato dharma tato Krishna, and hence he is become closer to the dharma is the bonding. Dharma is not a religion here. Let's not get confused. We have clarified that many times. Dharma is the duty and then the righteousness and the ethical path. The problem is those people जो भटक जाते हैं ethical path से और unethical means of living for selfish reasons, that's where the विविधता या बहुधा ये प्रॉब्लम आ जाता है. जब भी हम लोग वापस जुड़ जाते हैं धर्म के, कोई भी धर्म हो, अगर all Muslims will only follow la ilaha illallah, no problem I have, and then follow whatever it is. Of course, if the dharma itself, the so-called dharma grantha itself is telling that go and kill the people who are non-believers, we can't help it. That is the tragedy. But जो universal dharma है, जो मनुष्य धर्म, जो मानवतावाद जो है, उसमें अगर जुड़ जाते हैं तो आई थिंक the problems will be less. ये मेरा मानना है.
ठीक बात. समय की थोड़ी